the Phillies now have canceled their team's activities, and they've now said they're not going to play the Blue Jays this weekend because a member of their coaching staff and one of their clubhouse people has a positive test. What does that mean? It essentially means that these people went home, were in contact with their people who had been in contact with other people, gave it to them, and there's the possibility that they could bring it back into the Phillies clubhouse when the Phillies had already played the Marlins, and the Marlins are already now like an MLS soccer team being sent home, so to speak. I don't know how baseball is going to do it. I really don't know. I've never quite understood. I think they thought that they were just going to power through this, and you're already seeing how COVID is impacting Major League Baseball.
Did you hear the report from USA Today?
Tell me.
So you talk about like you go home, you're exposed to this person, you go home, you're exposed to this person. But according to Bob Nightingale, USA Today, before the season started, you had Marlins players go out in Atlanta. They're not saying how many, but they definitely went out in Atlanta. So a lot of it is going to be on the, like me and Browner, we talk trash about the Marlins organization as a whole, that they're poorly run. But at the same time, players got to be held accountable too. If you're going out and you're going to the Lou Williams Magic City to get some chicken wings up in Atlanta before you play, you're exposing yourself. And that's like now MLB is going to try and come up with some rules about you can't leave hotels when you're on the road. You got to do like they're going to try and isolate themselves, but players got to have some responsibility too.
Well, that's the problem here is that it doesn't matter if you're an NBA player who's in a bubble. How can you truly trust everybody? And for those who have to go outside the bubble and have some excused absence when they're out there, what do they do with themselves? I love chicken wings. I think this strip club has the best chicken wings on the planet. I went there for the wings, not for the girls. I went strictly for wings, not for ladies, not for nudity. I wasn't there for entertainment. I was stripped. Just give me those chicken wings. And the thing is, do you believe that everybody can be responsible to something bigger than themselves? And I think we've already seen when you're young, when you're healthy, when you're rich and famous, and I don't mean like ultra famous or even ultra wealthy. I'm not talking Patrick Mahomes' wealth and fame. I'm talking about Florida Marlins players or a Lou Williams. It doesn't matter. Can you trust all of these people to do the right thing? And my answer is 1,000% you cannot, and they will bring it back. That's what I think.
Listen, man, the best plan is always one small string away from going haywire. And that's what this is. The NBA had the best plan possible. What the hell did Lou Williams do? Go to a strip club for chicken. You might have went there for the chicken, but you stayed for the ass. And that's what we already know that to be true. If you were baseball, this was your plan. You had all this time off to figure out what to do. You did all this back and forth about money. You did all this back and forth about every travel. But you said you had a plan. You came up with this taxi squad thing. You're not going to use the taxi squad. You're just going to stop playing games. At what point, if this gets to 3 teams, you're going to have to shut it down because the ripple effect of this happening on 3 different teams is going to cripple the schedule. How much longer are you going to play with these COVID-added games? How many double hitters can you play? If this spreads to a 3rd team, the season's probably over.
I didn't agree with Browner on Monday. I agree with him now. I think if you have to postpone games because your players or someone has COVID, you just forfeit and move on. Yeah, you're just gonna like, hey, Phillies, sorry, you're out 3 games. Here's 3. Yeah. You're just done.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if baseball will try and do what soccer did, which is, hey, this team has it, they're out. So we sent them home, they're out. I mean, is it conceivable that as teams get it, more and more teams might be told, hey, you're out. Yeah. Like not out for 3 games or out for 2 weeks and you can't make up those games. Like you have to leave this season. Like Marlins, you're out. Okay. Phillies, just using them as an example, you're out. And if this happens to another team, hey, you're out. We can't keep adjusting the schedule to accommodate you guys. We'll never be able to get those games back in. But I agree with Browner, which is now you're going to cripple the schedule. And if you're the Dodgers as a hypothetical, and you've played 60 games and you're 31-29, but the Padres wound up playing, I'm just making this up. The Padres played 50 games and the Padres are 28 22, and they therefore have the better winning percentage, but they played fewer games, what happens then? I mean, this whole thing, domino by domino, keeps crumbling as more and more positive tests happen. That's what I think.
And it's totally going to get worse, right? The three of us agree that it's going to get worse. The more you're postponing, the bigger the Rubik's Cube becomes. It goes from a 4x4 line into a 16 and it's just going to be harder and harder to solve when you keep delaying and postponing games. At a certain point, you're just going to have to be like, bro, you're that's just a loss. Like, I'm sorry, Marlins, listen, there's a difference between Juan Soto testing positive and him being out. That's one player. And then a 17-player outbreak. 17, man.
Yeah.
Either you take the 17 and those games are forfeited, you lost those games, or you have to get rid of them completely for the season. They're off the schedule, and if you were supposed to play them for 3 days, you now have 3 fresh days off. And so on and so on until you get to a point where you can't do it anymore, or everybody is safe and you can bubbleize this thing somehow. Because I think we talked about this Tuesday. At some point, they're going to have to bubble when they get to the playoffs. You can't keep going like this. The more important the games get, the more protective you have to be.
Well, I mean, this is the question is, will they get there? So listen, I would say this, you started this way, Alex. You said, hey, how much of this did you keep up with? Let's start with the Padres for a quick moment. Okay. First of all, I am keeping up with the Padres, at least on a high enough level to know that through the first 2 games, people were already calling for an undefeated season. People were talking about Eric Hosmer like he is Babe Ruth. Will Myers hit a home run and Padre Nation went absolutely berserk. The people who love the Padres, who are just as emotional and as bought in as they can be, were going nuts through the first 2 games. After last night, where the bullpen blows this big lead late in the game, that's when people start to say, why is this guy still in? And why is this guy? And the bullpen's not what we thought. And so the Padres had a big lead last night, and their bullpen came in and screwed the entire thing up. Alex, I'm watching enough to know the highest level. You've said you've watched every minute of every game. Talk to me.
Almost every minute of every game. It's funny, though. Like, in soccer, if you watch soccer, especially in European soccer, they only play once or twice a week. And it's funny how the narrative changes week to week. You beat a team 2-0, you're the greatest team ever. You draw to a crappy team, oh, we suck. We got to do this, we got to do that. Same thing yesterday with Padres. Jace Tingler was the best coach ever. How did we get so lucky to get Jace Tingler? And all of a sudden, those 2 losses, the bullpen blows up in his face, and people are already calling for his head. So it's just one of those things where it's early, but the games like last night are going to mean so much more in a 60-game season. You cannot blow games like that. Every game will matter. And I don't know why Craig Stammen was in. I don't know why he kept in the lefty, who I'm drawing a blank on at the moment for some reason. But the point is, you can't blow games like that. You cannot do it this season.
I have watched every game.
Strong.
I will tell you this. Baseball happened. That's what happened last night. Baseball happened. The same thing happened when Andy Green was the manager. People kept killing Andy Green for not knowing how to use the bullpen. That's baseball, dude. Some nights your guys just don't got it. I'm still fired up about this. 4-2 is better than 2-4, goddammit. And that's the way it's been for a long time. 2-4. So give me 4-2. Look at the bright side of this. They were crushing them dudes last night. And baseball got in the way. Tatis, boom, out the yard. I told y'all my dog Will Myers was going to come through this season. Another home run last night. So I like where they're going. I like the energy. The bullpen is the best part of this team. And so that's going to catch up. That's going to get right. But last night, I bet you a bunch of Padres fans were crying in their beer. That was bad.
Well, let's talk about the Dodgers for a second, because again, you started it off with where's your head at today. Padres and the start of the baseball season and what Corona is doing to Major League Baseball, yes, is on my mind. And just like the Florida Marlins, who are in the hot spot of COVID, the state of Florida. I think I mentioned to you guys that my daughter down at Middle Tennessee, her 2 teammates that tested positive both came from Florida. Mm-hmm. So not only are the Marlins a poorly run organization that probably cheaps out on everything, but moreover, they're in a hotbed state. The Dodgers are in the same situation in that LA is now the California hotbed. Is it a byproduct of 12 million people? Is it racial divide? Is it socioeconomic? I don't have the answers. All I know is what the stats tell me. And so if you're the Dodgers, you got to be as clean and you got to stay as protected, and everybody's got to be on the same page in